Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to be getting the mainstream going up in just a moment here. Hopefully everything's up. There we go. Now we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Vinny Eastwood Show. Backup channel will be starting in just a few seconds, ladies and gentlemen, so please to hold fire for that. And if you do want to support the show, go to patreon.com/Vinny Eastwood. That's Vinny with a Y, because it's the most important question. And Eastwood, go ahead, make my news. While watching the show, remember, if you like something, give it a like. If you really like something, give it a subscribe. All right, and here we go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Vinny Eastwood Show, the lighter side of genocide. Just because we're being exterminated doesn't mean we can't make it fun. Otherwise, what's the point of being killed? The Vinny Eastwood Show, where the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state is Vinny's jokes. And my very special guest joining us today is the author of one of my favourite books to show that I've actually never read because I'm an idiot. Is Behind the Green Mask, UN Agenda 21, Rosa Koire herself. Rosa, thank you so much for coming back to the show.
Glad to be with you, Vinny.
Now, it's a signed copy as well. Didn't want to ruffle the feathers of it too much. And besides, if you can't read the book, interview the author. So we have her. So today we've brought you on to talk about not necessarily just the New Zealand public party per se, but in terms of Agenda 21 and how could you resist it, that kind of thing, and as the New Zealand Public Party is trying to do. And this is part of a series of broadcasts where we're bringing on international experts about various issues from around the world that do in fact affect New Zealand, that have experience, expertise in their fields to give the party advice and also their honest assessment of the party and this kind of resistance in general. So, Rosa, welcome.
Great. I'm very happy to be able to talk with you about your new and very exciting party. I think it's wonderful.
So, first impressions straight off the gate. What do you make of it?
Fabulous. This is what we need. And Billy Te Kahika, is that right?
It's close enough.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's going to be a problem, but who cares, right?
No, I'm sure it isn't a problem for you in New Zealand. And this, Agenda 21, Sustainable Development, it is a global plan. It's implemented locally. It's the same plan all over the world. And it is the inventory and control plan to inventory and control everything in the world. So, but because it's implemented locally, that's where we need to fight it. And that's what you're doing there. I think it's an extremely exciting thing to have a party that is really speaking the truth to people and really gathering adherents all over your country. And I think that's what you need to do because so few people are really taking the bull by the horns and really stepping up to fight this plan. And it's not just some plan that's out there in the future. It's not Agenda 2030. Agenda 2030 is a milestone year within the 21st century, which is Agenda 21. That is the agenda for the 21st century. So Agenda 2030 is 30 years in. It's a milestone. So this plan has been going full bore since 1992, when your country and mine and basically 178 world leaders plus the Holy See agreed to it. And this, the plan, although you'll see on Wikipedia that it's the non-binding voluntary plan, in fact, because our countries implemented the plan within our national boundaries and then made that plan real, and it comes right down into your cities, right down into your towns. Because of that, it is not a non-binding involuntary plan anymore. This plan is an active plan. It's real. And I don't even like to call it a plan because when you look around you, everything that you see that's going wrong right now is United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development. So, of course, when you look at the actual document, which is a 300-page, 40-chapter piece of paper, basically, what you're going to see all sounds good. These plans always sound good. They're designed to sound good. All revolutionary plans have a utopian future. And then you have to deal with the miserable austerity and the scarcity of the horrible horror show of the present. And that's what we're stepping into because people are finally becoming aware. This plan has been going for a long time. It's a systems change. Globalization is the standardization of all systems. And in fact, this is the first time in world history that all of our systems have been able to be managed and controlled centrally through total technology. So that's the goal for the plan, is total world domination. And the plan, it's very far advanced at this point. So what you're looking at there with your New Zealand Public Party is an actual shot straight into the heart of United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development. And this needs to happen all over the world. And the fact that it is happening there in New Zealand and that people are listening and that they are aware, becoming more aware all the time, that their country has been hijacked, that in fact global governance means that it's an erasure of your nation state. So when that happens, you actually do not have a voice any longer. This is the moment now. This is the moment to step up and be a part of this movement to fight United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development.
Indeed, and just to give a short version to people, you know how you can make decisions for yourself in your own life and work where you want to work, live where you want to work, and it's within reason, you know, that kind of thing. That won't be the future, okay, if you let this happen. If you don't basically realize that your life is on the line, okay, just imagine for a moment here, what was it, Eowyn of Rohan. What do you fear, my lady? I fear a cage. A cage where all thought of valor is gone past, right? Beyond hope and desire. Imagine for a moment, ladies and gentlemen, that there is a darkness brewing and it's not yet reached fruition. And you've seen it, you've been touched by it, you've heard about it. But what have you done about it? And that is the question that we all must ask ourselves. It's not a rhetorical question. What are you going to do about it? That's what I'm doing here, trying to help out the New Zealand Public Party, bringing experts like Rosa on, because I didn't see anybody else doing something about it in this country, you know. And hope. I remember Dr. Leonard Caldwell told me that every hope is good, even false hope. Right? He said there's so many patients that doctors have told, oh, there's no hope, or you're going to die, or something like that, and they die because they've got no hope to keep them alive. And I think that having that spirit of resistance just in general is a really good idea. Now, with all this social distancing, it hasn't really affected much of us who get called conspiracy theorists all the time, because we've already been distanced socially by everybody for some time. And the thought here is that if you can roll back the Agenda 21 in New Zealand, you know, God defend New Zealand kind of thing, that's in our national anthem, would it be the first domino kind of thing? Could United Nations Agenda 21 be rolled back by similar movements in every other country, emboldened by the hope that they see embodied in New Zealand?
Absolutely. I think, and I agree, hope is a totally important thing. And what you need to do is to look in the mirror and see yourself as the warrior that you are. Because every single one of us wants to be free. Every human being wants to have liberty. And this plan destroys your personal sovereignty as well as the sovereignty of your nation. It's designed to do it. And it does it in incremental steps. Because, of course, they can't destroy the nation state, you know, just in a single jump. So they go through it regionally. It's an interim step with regionalization. That totally destroys the jurisdictional boundaries that you vote for. And instead, it places over that the unelected boards and commissions that are, you know, actually having a huge influence on your world right now, but you just aren't aware of it because the shell of your nation state is still intact. But so what you need to do is to really recognize that, yes, you actually do have power now. You really do. And you need to use it. So this kind of thing is not an easy thing to do, of course. But we've all been kind of conditioned to be passive with our, with our devices, with our Facebook and et cetera. And you think clicking a like is actually activism. It is not. It is not activism. It is passive. You need to be more active. Take 15 minutes of your day and make flyers and go out and pass them around. Show videos after work at your office. Be a participant in your freedom. This is extremely important, especially right now, because there are so many organizations and so many groups and so many governance systems that are working against you. And yes, what you need to do is to become aware so that you know what it is that you're fighting, and then step up and do it. Fight it. You can.
That's right. And as you were talking, I recall a conversation that I had with Penny Bright for a documentary I never actually got around to making that appears relatively relevant right at this particular moment. And I'll just show you on screen, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm talking about. These groups that Rosa speaks of, I'm going to show you the 3 New Zealand versions. This here is the NZCID, the New Zealand Infrastructure Initiative, I believe it's called, Infrastructure New Zealand members. Now, if we scroll down through this is a video here, and I had Penny Bright on the other line, and we go down and we have a look at all these giant banks, massive corporations. Even the Auckland Council is on this board. Bank of New Zealand, Bell Gully, all of these massive companies. Chorus is the core infrastructure developers for New Zealand. So Downer Engineering, other huge construction firms, every single massive private corporation that you could possibly think of that's got money, resources, and technology and that kind of thing is on this freaking board, ladies and gentlemen, and you've never heard of it, okay? They're making all these decisions behind boards. Now, we have 3 total boards in here. This one here is called the New Zealand Initiative, and you'll see that almost the same banks, the same technology firms and companies and things of that nature, including all the massive Fonterra, which is the largest corporation in New Zealand that takes care of our stuff. Google as well, ladies and gentlemen. International corporations, Vodafone as well. This is a complete surveillance and infrastructure for it. And this is the last one here, the Committee for Auckland, which was formerly called the Business Roundtable Group of Auckland. Now, you can go back and you can have a look at these screenshots paused up and that kind of thing, but you can see, again, massive banks, corporations, and investment firms and things of that nature. How, ladies and gentlemen, can you get adequate representation for your country and its people if all these decisions are being made by these groups that you've never heard of, that are comprised entirely of consortiums that you don't have a say in?
Mm-hmm. This is exactly it. This is public-private partnerships are fascism. And what happens is that these corporations, these huge mega corporations, this is a worldwide mega corporate plan. It's a totalitarian plan that's being implemented right now. So these huge mega corporations actually are global. And you see that I'm not saying international, because international implies that it's between nations. Global erases the nation state. This is a new economic system for the world, and it's imposed upon us by these enormous mega corporations. What their goal is right now is to totally disempower you and to use surveillance, the surveillance technology. Of course, 9/11 was the security state. COVID is the surveillance state. And so Google, of course, has an arm that is a building construction arm. It's called Sidewalk Labs. And if you take a look at Quayside in Toronto, which failed because of a fight the citizens there did, #BlockSidewalk, take a look at that. They fought it because, why? Because Google, whose parent corporation is Alphabet, was actually funding Sidewalk Labs to create these surveillance cities, create an actual surveillance city where every single move, every step you take in the sidewalk is completely, the data is captured. So, and if you object to having that data linked to your identity, then you get less quality services. Your services are actually less, you don't get the same services that everybody else gets in the town. This is a total dictatorship. It's a surveillance dictatorship. It is a design of the panopticon. This is the design of this plan. Now, out there in New Zealand, I hate to tell you this, but you are out there in the rural areas. I don't care how big your cities are. Your city, you are in an extreme area that is considered to be, an area that will be cleared out of human beings. Your large cities will be interim cities. They will be interim concentration collection centers. This is the goal for the future. You will be moved from there, out of there, and into probably larger cities in Australia. And if you want to look at a very good video that you can look at, of course, you can look at all kinds of videos that I've made, but I suggest you take a look at Anne Bressington of Australia, who years ago made a video for, she was
we've had Anne
a
on the show,
legislator.
actually.
Okay, great.
Show, yeah.
Anne Bressington is fantastic, and she lets you know right down right there where you are, what this plan is about. This plan is about total surveillance and total control. And this is not out there in the future. This is happening now. So this is why you do need to step up in any fight that you can do. And it's incredibly powerful to actually declare yourselves as a political party with this as your platform, because you are indicating to anyone who looks at your platform that you are aware of this plan, that you object to this plan, and that you will unite as people, as individuals. You will unite to fight it. And that's what you need to do. And you can, but you need to do it with full awareness of what this is.
You once told me that a lot of people know about things that are conspiratorial in nature, and that Agenda 21 is the centerpiece. It is the conspiracy.
Yeah, it's a conspiracy fact. It is not a conspiracy theory. And it's really important, conspiracies, two people talking together to, secretly plan something. That's a conspiracy. I mean, it doesn't take much. This conspiracy, however, is huge. It's worldwide. And that's what makes it so incredibly powerful. And the fact that your own country agreed to it in 1992, your country, the United States, so many nations, China, the UK agreed to it. Everyone has agreed to this plan. This plan disempowers you. And you can go back to the Fabian socialists of the 1880s and see, where this plan actually, the germination of it was actually with the idea that there are just too many people. And this is the masses. They're not the exceptional people. You're just not important enough to be breeding. And you need to be removed from the planet. And, Ted Turner said, he said, there's just too many people using up too much stuff. The huge mogul, the huge media mogul, Ted Turner, who has 5 children. And, the thing is that what you're being told essentially is that you're not worth it. You don't have value. And what's been happening over the last couple of decades is that they have been looking for people who do add value. And those people get moved into universities where they're, which partner with corporations, and then their value can be owned, their innovation can be owned and exploited by these enormous corporations. But you see, with China having the social credit score, that is your future. That will be your future. Biometrics. Young children are having their biometrics taken at the age of 3 or 4 or 5 years old, and that will follow them for the rest of their lives. Your health care. Your mental health care will follow you for the rest of your life, being codified, being made into data that can be shared and distributed and follow you. So this plan, the social credit score plan, is the model, the Chinese social credit score, because obviously, if you use more energy than you produce, you are not worth it. And most of you are not worth it. So this plan has to be stopped. It's a very important thing for you to be part of this movement, to stop this plan. There's nothing that you're doing in your life that is more important than this fight.
Because what was it? I was just trying to think about this kind of prioritization, because there has been a lot of people attacking Billy who either have spoken to him or haven't spoken to him. And I think one of the things that was of dramatic concern to many is that he was asking some of these smaller parties who have been around for a while, never come close to winning an election, have no popular following and things of that nature, to dissolve their party and get behind him, because he does have the popular following and he does have the Agenda 21 policies and can be the best frontman, and then give them executive positions within that party, that kind of thing. And that he called them selfish if they didn't do it. All right? If we don't combine together to defeat this evil now, we're being selfish. That was his point. And I thought that's maybe a little bit brazen. But other than that, I haven't actually seen anything that wasn't explainable within context and stuff of that nature. For example, there's a video of him on Chinese television where he was trying to get into the Belt and Road Initiative. And it turns out that after he gave that speech, he found out that all of these people in China that he was trying to do deals with for better money for his people and things like that, they'd just go back on his word. And he felt really uncomfortable with it. And then they invited him back for an all-expenses paid trip, which he politely declined. Right? Mm-hmm. So yeah. You see that, and I think that the globalists have tried to recruit as many talented and capable individuals around the world as they can, and that as soon as somebody gets wind of the fact of what they're a part of, they can be particularly dangerous because they know what they're talking about and they know who they're dealing with.
Well, I do want to say something about the Chinese Belt and Road program, which is actually, one belt, one road. It's the infrastructure project that the Chinese are doing all around the world. Their plan is to indebt smaller countries to build up their infrastructure because they fully intend to colonize everywhere, and to indebt those nations so that they can actually bankrupt them and control that infrastructure that they have created. In fact, the Chinese lend those nations money, and then the money that's given to those nations is given back to the Chinese to do the construction projects. So this is what's happening now. This is very common.
If that's the case, then Billy, you're really good to pull out of that one.
Oh, no question about it. You don't want to partner with the Chinese, and you don't want to partner with the Belt and Road Project specifically. But this is very clear that this happens. Okay, now this is there are three pillars of Agenda 21. They are economy, ecology, and social equity. The fourth pillar, the informal pillar, is culture. The fourth pillar of Agenda 21 is culture. Now, co-opting nations is a very important thing, because what they say is they're going to empower. Listen to this. They say they're going to empower women and children and formerly unrecognized peoples of the world. So this is, maybe people who are Maori or people who are indigenous people. So what they do is the people who are running this plan, the major corporations, the huge banks, the ones who expect to be out on top at the end of this plan, they're looking for people who they can exploit and they can manipulate and they can use in order to implement the plan more easily, because this is a plan of consensus. It's not a plan of consent. It's a plan of consensus. You don't vote for this plan. So they want you to not make trouble for them. And one way to do that is to use and manipulate indigenous people. So I don't blame Billy for falling for that, but he pulled out of it and refused to go along with it.
And we asked him yesterday on the show, and I said to him, I think that at the time you were basically being played, and they saw you as a useful idiot. And he goes, well, no. Well, yes and no.
Yes, absolutely. That's it. And, you don't have to feel like an idiot. The fact is you're not an idiot. You're smart, you're intelligent, and you're not going to be used by this plan. But, of course, you will be used by the plan if you don't know about it. So there are many, many different organizations that make this plan happen, because not only the way the plan is implemented is as a governance plan. What governance is it's local governmental officials who are not elected, not always, but sometimes are elected, but not always. People who are, your longtime lifers in your public, your public servants. Then non-governmental organizations. So those are your nonprofits that are used as the lowest level of bureaucracy. Your corporations.
If I may, the NGO is what they wanted to turn Billy and his organization into, and that's why they refused. So yeah, that's interesting. That's how they get you. They get you part of the bureaucracy.
Well, certainly they do, and that's a low level of bureaucracy. Of course, there are major bureaucratic non-governmental organizations that have special consultative status with the United Nations in different departments, and those groups are given money to fund smaller groups. So, I like to say, when you find three people, you've got nine nonprofits there because they sit on each other's boards and commissions. And this is designed to overpower you because this plan actually destroys the individual's opportunity to have any influence on what happens in the world. And when you think about this, global crisis requires a global response, and that justifies global governance. And that's what we are seeing now. We are seeing the justification of a global new world order. And that's, people make fun of you for using those terms, but those terms have been used over and over and over again by people who are in a position to implement that plan.
And if you don't believe that,
Vice President Joe Biden, who I hope will not become the president of the United States, when he wasn't, when he was still able to think and talk for himself, did give a huge 3-day speech on the New World Order. That was back in 1992, I believe. So, this plan is an old plan. It's being implemented now. And the thing is that what we need to do is recognize the power that we actually have there in each of our local governments, in each of our local nations, and around the world to inspire one another. And I personally am very inspired by the idea that the people of New Zealand would embrace the national, what do you call yourselves? The new public party?
The New Zealand Public Party.
Public Party, yes, that's it. And makes perfect sense, doesn't it? And I think that it's very important because this is, otherwise we will devolve into fiefdoms. This plan actually empowers the city-state, the nation state is dissolved, and instead you have mega regions. And that's what you will be a part of, a mega region. You will have literally no voice, like the EU. If you look at the structure of the EU, the individual people there have absolutely no voice. And in fact, the individual countries have no voice, no influence on what happens at the EU.
And I think it's kind of like a bear trap to a large degree, Hey, come over here. There's some money, there's some sex, there's some power, there's some influence. Just sign on the dotted line and this corporate spreadsheet, everything's going to work out just fine for you. And then as soon as you sign it, whammo, you're caught in the bear trap.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't even have to sign it. And that's what's really powerful about this thing. For instance, I'm going to tell you that right now, if you live in Auckland, Palmerston, Dunedin, or however you say that, or Christchurch, you are members, without knowing it, of ICLEI, the International Council on Local Environmental Initiatives. And that is a spin-off from the United Nations. It's a private, non-governmental organization. And it is designed as a parallel government. And it's all over the world. And what they do is they actually empower the city-state. They empower city and local government agencies to actually make international agreements. So they go around the nation state to make powerful agreements. And these are usually trade agreements, but as you know, the EU, the European Union, began as a coal and steel agreement in the mid-1950s as a trade agreement. And the North American Union, the United States, Canada, and Mexico, which President Trump just signed. He signed the USMCA, United States, Mexico, Canada agreement. That is, in fact, an economic integration plan that integrates the three nations. This is not what you want. You do not want economic integration because you will change, you're in fact going to change your economic system. And by the way, let me throw out here, you do not want to have electronic currency. You do not want electronic currency. You still want that paper currency. Yes, it's fiat currency. I understand that. But you don't want to go to electronic currency because you can lose that in a moment. You have no control whatsoever. And there is full tracking. I don't care if you're buying Bitcoin. They tell you that you can be totally anonymous. I do not believe it. That plan is designed to track every single exchange that you make and to also have the power to shut you off and destroy your ability to actually have any independence whatsoever.
It's important to know the methodology of scamming, and basically it's like this. You have a scam, and the scam has a name. Let's say it's snake oil, right? As soon as somebody says, hey, did you know that snake oil is a scam? You just change the name of your scam. You call it primate oil. Right? And it's similar to the UN Agenda 21. Well, people have figured out the UN Agenda 21's got a bad name. Let's call it Agenda 2030. It's a whole totally new thing that we have to expose now. Democrats against Agenda 21. What is Agenda 21? I've heard of Agenda 2030, but then you have to explain the scam again. And that's how they keep coming the same scam over and over and over again. Like, for example, we had the TPPA, and in my opinion, the TPPA should have been used for TP when you need to PP at a PPTA meeting. But I basically what they did is they came up with this political platform and just said, oh, we're getting out of the TPPA, and everybody votes for them, that's fine. But now we're getting into the CPTPP, the SIP tip, which is exactly what it sounds like, ladies and gentlemen. So that's how they do it. They just change the name if you don't like it and then push it again anyway. Now, it occurs to me that we're dealing with a hydra, not a snake.
Yeah, that's true. And, these things, of course, I'll tell you what they do have on their side besides a lot of money and a huge amount of people that are all participating, whether they know it or not. And we will talk about that in a minute. But one of the things that you're going to see, of course, with this plan is that they are persistent. And we are not as persistent. We don't show up. We don't stay there when we do actually show up. In fact, I'm going to give you you can raise your hand if you've been to a city council meeting recently. Okay. Now, did you stay for the whole thing, or did you leave after your item? Or did you even go? Do you even know what day they meet? Do you know where they meet? Do you know anything about your local government? Probably not. It's your fault. All of this is your fault.
Yeah.
So now you got to stay, whatever your hobby is, whatever it is that you like to do, you got to make this your freedom, your liberty. You got to make that your hobby now. And so, the fact that you recognize that, you might feel like you have absolutely no power right now. You think, well, who cares if I go to my city council? The last time I went, they ignored me. They didn't pay any attention to me. Well, you've got somebody here stepping up. Billy is stepping up. You got to, now Billy, whatever office he's going to run for, whatever party he is representing, they need other people to run for office all around New Zealand. And that is where you come in. You need to step up. You need to understand what's going on locally. You need to step into those positions of power, or you need to support someone else who's doing it, who's willing to do that hard work and show up and be there. And you want to be their legwork. You want to hand them some money. You want to support them. You want to show up there. You want to walk the streets for them. You want to hand out flyers. This is your job. You need to participate. No one is going to save you. No one is going to come and save you. That is so obvious now, don't you think? It's time for you. And, if you're at a university and you're being taught, something that you really find offensive, speak up. You need to be brave now. This is your moment. When your child comes home from school and has some booklet on sustainability, when you go to your pastor when you go to your church and you get a sermon on sustainable development on Sunday, or the church and the environment or something like that, you better go and have a chat with your pastor, because all of that is United Nations Agenda 21 sustainable development, and you need to stop it. Put a stop to it now. You just putting a resolution out there that you're against Agenda 21, that is not going to do it, because it comes called many different things, and you need to know what you're looking for in order to stop it. Because for all you know, you're working for it 100% right now every time you go to work. So you need to know what to look for. And that's one thing that we do help you with on our websites. And I want to say quickly, yes, my website is called Democrats Against UN Agenda21.com. And yes, I know all about Democrat, Republican, left, right, the whole paradigm. At the time that I started this group, which was about 15 years ago, yes, I was a Democrat. And the thing that was so incredible about the fact that I started this group was that I was a Democrat, because it was all about the conservatives were talking about it, and nobody who is liberal or Democrat would ever even listen to talk about it, would not even acknowledge it. So that was what made me so unusual. And I have kept that name because I think it's important. It's a huge thorn in the side of this, huge movement that is imposing a totalitarian state on us. We will not comply. We do not cooperate with this plan.
Faint heart, never one fair go, as famed activist and a friend of mine, Penny Bright, used to say, and that it is not the length of the stand, but it is the breadth of the stand, ladies and gentlemen. How deep are you going to dig your heels in? That is what matters. And, you talked about this, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, as I should, guilty. I haven't been to my city council meetings. I don't know who's actually in charge of my district. I don't know what day they meet. That kind of thing. And I'd like to know if there is anybody who does know that, right, in my area, that kind of thing. Because I went to a meeting of the outdoors party over a week ago, and the guy sitting next to me at the outdoors party lives 4 doors down from me. Right? I was just like, whoa. And I never even knew they were there because I don't know my neighbours. And I think I'm totally guilty of all of the societal breakup that has actually been perpetrated on all of us. And I think most of us are. So where does the rubber meet the road? That's the question. What do you need to do? What's step 1, 2, all the way from A to B to frickin' Z?
Yeah, you know what? That is why I wrote my book, Behind the Green Mask, UN Agenda 21. That book, I have to say now, that book was written in 2011. It is an international bestseller, and it is still a bestseller right now. And the reason it is because it's an easy book to read. It's not that many pages, big print, and it really lays it out for you. And it's actually fun. It's interesting, and I have 20 pages in the back of the book on what you can do, and all of that stuff it's fun, it's interesting, you can do it. It's not something that you can't handle. It's 15 minutes of your day once a week is more than you're doing now. And the first thing you need to do is be visible. Be visible, step up, show up, be brave. Be willing to speak out. Be willing to be, that person that, that people at the barbecue are like, gee, I never knew.
Sorry to interrupt. Auckland libraries have removed it from their...
My book?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you something. My book was called my book is held in the University of California library in the far right conspiracy section, in the section where they keep books on how to make bombs and things like that. So if that don't tell you something about that book, this book
does it is. I think it infers that the book itself is absolutely explosive.
It is.
It's hazardous materials, baby.
Yeah, and it's it's not. It's the kind of thing that you really should know. And you really should not be afraid to read. But they have put it there, I believe, in order to instruct students who would even consider reading the book that you don't want to go there because this is some right-wing, dangerous publication that you don't want to look at. Now, I'll tell you something. Right now, nobody is holding a gun to your head. Nobody is stopping you. Now, we are about to lose our freedom. We're looking at a surveillance state that is implemented right now on us. We're looking at it right now. You can see what it looks like. You're in it right now. And they're telling you it's the new normal. Now, you don't want that. You do not want that. You need to understand what's going on around you, and you need to fight it now. Now, what's happened, of course, is that your city council and your regional group or whatever is not even meeting physically anymore. They're all meeting virtually, and you almost missed your opportunity here. But you need to stand up and speak out and be visible. Put a poster in your car as you drive around. Put flyers. We have flyers on our websites. Make some flyers. Run around every morning when you do your jog and put out 100 flyers a morning. You can make 100 flyers for $6, 2-sided flyers. You can host video parties. Train kids to make videos and then ask them, do a man on the street video. What's the impact of United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development on Christchurch? And turn the kids loose and do some kind of a video film festival for them and give them an award and have an awards banquet and show the videos. I mean, come on, be creative. You can show me ways to get this information out to people. Be excited about your freedom. Be excited and know that, yes, you will be free, but nobody is going to help you. No one's going to rescue you. So you need to help everyone. You need to be out there, grow your movement. You can do it.
Now, bear in mind that not everybody is going to want to, but no revolution has ever involved the majority of people. In fact, every successful revolution on Earth has never taken more than 6% of the population willingly and properly supporting the revolution, right? Most of the people will sit back and they will simply enjoy the fruits of your labor. That's all right, because you're going to enjoy those fruits, and so will all subsequent generations, until, of course, evil rears its ugly head again and tries to enslave humanity like the pharaohs of old.
I just tweeted something about this recently, and what I said is that, basically what you do is you get out there and you put your best effort out, and you don't waste a lot of time with the people who are going to argue with you and not listen to you. Because everybody comes to this in their own way. That's why I like to use flyers, because you can put them on doorsteps and you don't have interaction with the people. You argue with one guy on your Saturday morning, and that is about 500 flyers you could have put out that you wasted with some guy who's not going to listen to you anyway. What you need to do is reach as many people as possible right now. If you live in an area that's remote and you can't walk things around, then use postcards. You can go to your post office and find out what a bulk mail costs and make those postcards and mail them out. Everybody collects some money together, $100 or whatever it costs, and mail out those flyers to everybody in your general area. You can get that information from your post office. Don't waste your time arguing with your brother-in-law. Who cares what he thinks? It doesn't matter. What you need to do is to hone your information so that you understand what's going on. You're clear about it. If you do have a conversation, you know what you're talking about. You don't sound like you don't know what you're doing. And then, and if it starts to get ridiculous and you feel like you're not going to make any headway, walk away. Life is short. You want to reach as many people as possible, right? So that's the point.
Statistically, fewer than 1 in 20 people are worth your time if that's the case, all right? So just think about this. Every conversation you have, ladies and gentlemen, is this person one of the 19?
Yeah, well, that is the New World Order philosophy too, is that, and I'm sure it's way less than 1 in 20, that you're just not worth it. So, this is a fight for your life. And I don't care if you actually have children or you don't have any kids at all. The young people have been indoctrinated from the time that this is a pre-kindergarten to postgraduate school indoctrination. And it's been going on for a very long time, decades. So those of us who are older, may remember the time when you could be free. And, we're going to die soon. So the thing is that if you're older and you feel like you're retired, you really don't feel like you want to do anything. Darn it, why do you have to? But you just do. You just do. Do something. And if you're young and you're in the school, you're in the university, and you see like UCLA has 509 courses in sustainability, are those courses all in recycling? And, no, they're not. This is a theory. This is an ideology that is being imposed on you. And, so that's going on in your university. You need to step up, speak out. I know you're afraid you're not going to get that grant. You're not going to get that scholarship. And you're right. You might not. You might lose your job. But you know what? What's more important, losing your job or losing your freedom? I think you better answer. Go get up right now and look in the mirror, look into your eyes and say to yourself, am I a fighter or am I going to lay down and let this happen to me? And I know that you think that you're a fighter. Let's see you be a fighter. I know you can.
And that's another thing as well. A lot of people don't trust Billy and stuff like that. And you would be surprised at the amount of his business that has dried up since coming out against the UN Agenda 21. Just like every genuine person who does, ladies and gentlemen. So
yeah,
I've seen a lot of red flags, and every time I look at that red flag in detail, it has a whole bunch of green flags that are there that actually override it. So it's good to see. Like, I'm still not going to just totally lay down and go, oh, you're my savior and that kind of thing. No, I'm here to contribute, doing what I do best, which is being narcissistic and taking up airtime. Now, I would like to also remind people that this Narcissism Fest is listener supported, so it's all your fault, ladies and gentlemen. You came here, all right? This is, so please support the Vinny Eastwood Show. You can support it at PayPal, Patreon, or through KiwiBank on the homepage at thevinnyeastwoodshow.com. That's Vinny with a Y, because it's the most important question. And Eastwood, like, go ahead, make my news. And it was like close to a decade ago that I had Rosa on the show, and I think I've sent you a few emails every now and again trying to get you back on, but no replies. And I was thinking to myself, isn't she fighting the conspiracy against the entire world? Perhaps she's a bit busy, And
yeah, you got it. Yeah, that's true. I want to tell people also, we do, you can get my book on Amazon, but we do ship directly to New Zealand from the United States from my own website, which is behindthegreenmask.com, behindthegreenmask.com. And that book will go straight to you in New Zealand from me. And if you want me to sign it, then send me a note and I'll do that. And I want you to know that you are not alone. This is a worldwide freedom movement, a worldwide movement to expose this, to refuse to collaborate, to refuse to go along with it. And you are part of the resistance. If you're listening to me now, if you're listening to independent media like Vinny, you are part of the resistance movement. It's not something you join, it's what you are. And I know that you do not want to live under total tyranny. And we're not joking around here. This is real. You are getting a look at it right now. As you're walking around with that rag on your face and can't do anything, and your business is going down the tubes, and your economy is crashing around you, you are getting a look at that kind of power. And this is power that you have absolutely no influence on right now. You don't want this to progress. You do not want this to continue. Step up. Support independent media, support independent people who are running for office, who need your small donations, who need you to support them. Yeah, what if you don't like the guy? Who cares really? At this point, you may not like everything about him. It really isn't that important. As long as you feel that he's got the right ideals, the right thoughts in his mind, that you can talk to him, you can discuss with him, you can find out what he thinks, he will tell you the truth. These are people you need to support. And be those people. Step up. Go and run for city council. Go and do it yourself. Don't let somebody else who says that they represent you ruin your life. Your life is being ruined by unelected boards and commissions that are appointed by those elected people. You do not want those people to have that kind of power over you. They affect you, where you live, how you live, and what you do for a living, and what your life will be. You need to be the resistance, and be it now. This is the moment.
The definition of defeatism is that you will believe you have already been defeated, or believe that you cannot win. Ladies and gentlemen, if you convince your enemy to be defeatist, you don't even have to fight them. You just win. And so, at the moment, there are a lot of defeatist people. Oh, there's no point resisting the United Nations. Oh, there's no point helping anybody who's actually doing something. It's so much better idea to just sit on my ass and withdraw from everybody else, and tell myself how smart I am for doing that. No, you haven't thought it through, buddy. Okay? You're going to die. Okay, so I've been in life-threatening situations before, and when you're in that situation, there is but one thought: survival. Okay? When we're resisting, some people say, oh, well, whatever you resist, that's where the energy goes, or something like that. And you're right, to a degree. Should we have stood down to communism? No, let's not have a Cold War, bro. Let's just let the communists infiltrate us and take us over. I'm sure they're good guys. So what if they starved out 7 million Ukrainians because they were slightly better economically off than the rest of the poor-ass Russian people that they wanted to kill? I mean, bro, what are you resisting for? I mean, if you resist them, they'll just win. No, that's the opposite of what happens.
Yeah, this is it. It really, I mean, the thing is that you know that you don't want to resist because you don't feel like it. And this is one thing. You're being pacified all the time with your devices, with your, if you're smoking weed, if you're taking Prozac, you're not going to go and and hassle your city council. So I suggest that you put that stuff aside. And I'll tell you one other thing. You're in a rural area. You're out there. You're on a well. You think, hey, nobody's going to bother me. I got my well. I got my garden. I'm doing okay out here. I don't need to worry about this stupid plan. I hear it's an urban plan or it's an American plan. It's got nothing to do with me in New Zealand. You are wrong. Because you know what? There's a whole thing now, and it's been going for years, on monitoring and metering your well and restricting your access to water. And without water and water catchment, even from rain, without that ability to have water, you will be restricted. You will not be able to stay out there on your land. And, the time to resist this thing is not when it's, all the way finished. The time to resist it is now. So, you'll have your roads pulverized and turned to gravel. You'll have your rural areas defunded. You'll have your rural law enforcement closed down. You'll have your rural schools closed down. And by the way, you should be homeschooling your kids if you can afford it, if you can manage it. It's the thing to do. Get your kids out of that indoctrination center and into your home where you can actually regulate what it is that they're learning. Because right now the schools are not about teaching anything. They're about controlling your children, about teaching them that they have rights, the rights of the child, and that they can actually resist you, change their gender, do whatever they want without even telling you. So this is the time now. It is completely pervasive. This plan is very persistent, and you're a victim of it unless you step up, stand up, and be the resistance. And I encourage you, do it now.
Now, there's a couple of things. To be mature isn't because of the actions that you take. It's the actions that you don't take. You don't sit around and ruminate on the past and think about things you could have done better. You just do better. Okay? The next thing that you do is a better thing that you do. That's what a mature person does. You don't attack people who are doing things. You just do better than them. That's what a mature people does. A mature person is not defined by the actions that they take. It's defined by the actions they choose not to take. All those personal things that you really want to accomplish in your life and what have you, they don't really matter if you're not free. It's kind of like health, right? If you don't have your health, you can't enjoy your freedom. And if you're not free, you can't enjoy your health, can you? Right? And I was just thinking about this, how school is a cult, all right? And cult indoctrination's actually been a fascinating study of mine just for a brief period of time. And I was just thinking fluorescent lighting, a central authority figure, a doctrine that you can't question, sleep deprivation, poor food, and socially ostracizing the outsiders. Sounds like not only every school I've ever been to, but every job I've ever had.
Yeah, this plan does not allow dissent. And, anything that's going to, either shut you down, remove you from a platform. I mean, how much more of an indicator do you need? This is obviously designed to keep you from being able to speak out. So what you want to do is to spread out, to be your own media, to express yourself clearly and fearlessly everywhere you are. If you're a grocery store manager, if you're working in a fast food place, if you're going to a PTA meeting, if you're hanging out at a barbecue, whatever it is you do with your time, you want to talk about this. You want to talk about this plan. Do a little research. Find out, about ICLEI, International Council on Local Environmental Initiatives. Find out about uclg.org, which is in 140 countries and 240,000 cities. And it's all about making the Sustainable Development Goals a reality. And, these are many, many different groups. Find out about these groups and find out where they are right there in your town. Because they're right there in your town. And then you want to speak out about it. Put your flyers out, go to your meetings, tell people about it, and get politically involved. Because you know what? There's nothing more exciting. There's nothing more interesting to you than actually participating in your own freedom. And like I said before, if you don't like somebody who's running, then you want to be the person who's running or support someone else. But you don't want to you want to make sure that where you put your energy and where you put your effort is worth your time, because your money and your time are limited. So you want to make sure if you're volunteering for a group that it is not an Agenda 21 group. And they don't, like I said, they don't come called Agenda 21. You have to know. For instance, the American Lung Association is a consultative status organization with the United Nations, and they promote sustainable development and smart growth, which is high density city center development that's paid for with your property tax dollars and your transportation tax dollars. So and crowds you into city centers where you can be easily managed, controlled, and surveilled. This is the goal of the plan, and you don't want it, I'm telling you. So you want to find out for yourself that you don't want it, and then participate. Support people who are running for office. You've got someone right now who's speaking up, who's stepping up, who's actually talking about this. You want to spread that information out, and then you want to participate and be that person in your area. You want to get elected now. You can do it. Do it.
And it's kind of like Bruce Willis said to Ben Affleck on Armageddon. It's not a choice, it's a lack of options. And another group that popped to mind when you were talking about how all these different groups that have infiltrated everything is the Global Covenant of Mayors.
Absolutely.
Hadn't heard of that one before, and I haven't heard it since I learned of it. That kind of thing. Man, this stuff is shady. Man, it's deep. It's got so many little... And I think that's why everybody gets... I think people get post-traumatic stress after researching into this stuff. All right, it's
no, don't say that.
I mean,
no, they don't. You just, hey, it's heavy, but you know what? You can handle it. And that C40, the Global Covenant of Mayors, that's a spinoff of ICLEI. And that is a real thing. And that is all about getting the United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development into every single town. And yes, this is daunting. That's why I want you to know you are not alone. And it's important, if you can connect with other people, because I show you how to take down these meetings that are happening all around your country that are designed to make you, sort of an unwilling participant by saying that by consensus, these plans were adopted by you. And I show you how to block those plans, how to stop those plans, how to fight those plans as they're being rolled out. And so don't be daunted by this. Vinny, it's tough. It's a heavy thing. But you know what? Nobody's getting post-traumatic stress syndrome yet. You just wait. If you don't do anything about this now, you're going to get every syndrome you can imagine.
Wait a second. Maybe I misspoke. They go through the grief process.
Yeah. That's real.
They're going to... Okay, so folks...
You're going to feel bad about it.
If you haven't gone through this yet, folks, it's all right, okay? It happens to all of us, and it's part of being human. You had a belief, and so you're going to deny that belief can be changed. Then, once you realize that it can be changed, you're going to get really angry, probably at the people like us who told you about it. And then you're going to start to try and bargain your way out of it. Oh, maybe I can do this, or maybe I can do that, or something. Then upon realizing that there is no bargaining, then you're going to get depressed, just like I did, just like Rosa did. And then the final stage, and most people do not reach this final stage, acceptance. Accept who you are, accept your power, accept your responsibilities, accept what you can and must do. That is the way to get over trauma, ladies and gentlemen, by doing something about it.
That's true. You feel good. You feel active. You feel like you're actually taking part in this huge resistance movement. And I like to say there's no Switzerland in this fight. There's no place you're going to go. People ask me all the time, Rosa, where can we move to? Rosa, where's the safe place? Where can we? And the fact is, it's not going to be like that. This is a global plan implemented locally. It is everywhere. So you're not going to find some little hidey hole. You may be out on your land for a while with your weaponry and your stuff out there for a while, but that's just not going to last. This is a global plan. You've got to fight it while you still can, because it's a revolution. And all revolutions, they always have this, this utopian fantasy about how beautiful it's going to be. But this is all done to manipulate and control you. So you can't let that, you can't read this stuff. You can't see the pretty pictures. You can't see the lovely words, the sustainability, livable, walkable, bikeable, green, consensus, conversation, all these beautiful words. Forget that, man. That is being used to manipulate you. And you have to resist it. And you can do it. Look at how incredibly important you are right now. because you are going to be the resistance, and you are the resistance, and you will participate. And you know what? You are a hero. You will be your own hero. All of us are. And that's a very important thing to realize that your life really matters. It really does matter. Right now is one of the most, if not the most, important moment of your life. And this is it.
Rosa Koire, ladies and gentlemen, author of Behind the Green Mask, a UN Agenda 21. This is actually a signed copy that she sent me many years ago. Rosa, would I be able to have your permission to turn that into an audiobook so people can listen to it?
Yeah, Vinny, I guess you can if you want to do it. My brother's been asking me to do it for years, and I just haven't. But we should talk about that when we finish up here and discuss the potential for that.
Or even just the, what did you say, there was the last 20 pages or something like that of all the practical steps and something of that nature. Nice, quick. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Vinny Eastwood. I'm just here reading Behind the Green Mask by Rosa Koire, and I'm going to read to you the 20 things that you can do right now, right here, to get the hell out there and kill this beast. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if New Zealand destroys the New World Order apparatus and bureaucracy here by defeating it in an election by popular support, ladies and gentlemen, this could be the first domino to fall. And if you're on side with us when we win that, ladies and gentlemen, you will be the victors that the entire world will look up to. This is the first domino to fall, ladies and gentlemen. Give it the flick that it needs. Okay. Rosa Koire, thank you very much for joining us.
You are very welcome, and thank you to your audience.
All right. Now, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, your neighbours might report you, as is the case with the local Stasi, but please continue to listen to the Vinny Eastwood Show on and off, ladies and gentlemen, because you never know what might be happening on here. And as Rosa has just demonstrated, we're bringing on good guests, fabulous guests, to give us real knowledge about how to fight this war, ladies and gentlemen. This is a war. This is between pure good and pure evil. It's pure and simple. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, donate to thevinnyeastwoodshow.com. PayPal email is guerrillamedia77@gmail.com and patreon.com/Vinny Eastwood. That's Vinny with a Y because it's the most important question, and Eastwood like go ahead, make my news. So with that being said, ladies, gentlemen, and thank you very much for listening to the Vinny Eastwood Show, the lighter side of genocide. Just because we're being exterminated doesn't mean we can't make it fun. Otherwise, what's the point of being killed? The Vinny Eastwood Show, where the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state is Vinny's jokes.